Hey, look, it's me being as consistent as I've always been, which is to say, not at all. So, changing things up with the format yet again, because I just can't be bothered with all of the effort that goes into a lot of the videos I've been making. I was going to say lately, but lately's not really the right way to put it. But if you've watched the channel, you know what I mean. Point is, I'm just gonna wing it, not really gonna do much editing, if any, really at all in this. Hopefully it's not a complete mess. Thank you for watching. But here, as you can see, we are looking at Timeline's Megatron. Again, just like we looked at Starscream last time, which was like a month ago, it's just Megatron. I mean, I do have Prime over here for a comparison. We'll look at that a little bit later, but I just want to do it one figure at a time, just Megatron right now, and then Prime eventually later. Probably not Bumblebee, because I don't really like Bumblebee, and I'm in the process of trying to sell him. I may have actually sold him already by the time this video goes live. Or by the time I'm recording this video, honestly. I don't remember if he's sold. He's listed on eBay right now, but point is, we're just looking at Megatron. And I know there are complaints to be made about this figure. I get it. I have my own nitpicks. But I actually really like this look for Megatron. He is a little bit skinnier than your average Meg's depiction, but that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, the guy's had a dragon for an arm. I think it's fine if he's a little slender in one specific iteration. But this still hits a lot of the same, or not a lot, but it hits some classic Megatron beats, like the midriff section, particularly the red sections around the waist. The shape, obviously, this bit here is in particular shaped very much like his G1 style chest. And then, of course, the head, which is a little dusty. I should have dusted him off a little bit before I did this. The head also has that typical Megatron bucket head type thing. Now, yes, as I said, this is a departure. You've got the gigantic knobbly wheels on the shoulders. His cannon, just cannon, not fusion cannon, his cannon is in the wrong place. And again, he's skinny, but it's fine. Really, like, this is fine. It's a little bit strange, but it took me all of like 5 seconds to get used to it, because this isn't G1 Megatron. He's allowed to have the cannon in a different spot. And where this isn't exactly nonsensical. It's not like the Titans Return Galvatron, where they peg the fusion cannon into like his bicep on the side, which was really weird. This is on his forearm. He can still aim and point it to a degree. We'll get into that. But he can still point it like you would expect. It's just up here instead of here. So he does this instead of this, and he can still do this. So yeah, it's not a big deal. It's not even a little deal. It's not a deal. But he is clean overall. Backs of the thighs are a little bit, or backs of the calves are a little bit empty. Inside of the thighs are a little bit empty. But like, who? Well, I know there are some people who care a lot, way too much, but I do not. I think this is pretty darn cool for what it is. And I like, again, the look here. I also like how this version uses the more darker colors associated with, what was it? Like, was it just like an alternate style for Megatron? I've seen Megatron in black or dark gray instead of the light gray in a few different iterations. I just don't know what the official source of that is. Was it just the Koro-Q Megatron that did it, and then other things just ran with it? I don't know. But point is, Megatron has been a similar color scheme to this in the past too, so I think this also works. And the breakup between the dark gray and the light gray is really nice. They did a lot of little details, like the paint in the thighs, that add a little bit of dark tone to the thighs so it doesn't look too blocky. Not as much, or actually zero paint in the arms themselves, but it still breaks it up nicely. And then, of course, you get to the midsection where you've got that nice silver and red. The studs on the chest are done in silver. You've got the wheels done in just silver all over. Like, each of these little stud things is painted in silver. That's kind of ridiculous. And yeah, it's cool. I do think it would have been nice if maybe the studs on the arms, the forearms, were painted as well, but you know, this is, they did have a budget to it here too. And then you also get a little bit of gold in the cannon, which stands out, I think. Now, for the head, it's a typical Megatron head shape, maybe a little bit pinched at the top and flared out at the bottom proportionally compared to other iterations of Megatron's head, but like it's an identifiable shape. I like, too, the lines going around the base that almost give it like a layered helmet armor look. That nice bright silver for the face is really good. The cheekbones are sharp as ever, and of course the red eyes pop really nicely. This is a nicely done Megatron head. This is a nicely done Megatron, honestly. Except when we get to the articulation, which is fine until you get to the shoulders, and it's because of these things, as you could already tell. But the head, as you saw, is on a ball joint, and it's actually pretty darn expressive. And it can, of course, rotate all the way around, but like that's a really nice amount of up and a decent amount of down, and even some pretty expressive tilt. The shoulders, you can go all the way around, you can go almost all the way out, but the problem is you've got these things that'll like knock into the head, so that's a problem. You've got this thing that will knock into the wheel, and the wheel is on a separate hinge, which is good, so you can get a pretty decent amount of range without it being too much of a problem, but then this is about as far out as it can go. You get bicep rotation, you get double jointed elbows that can bend pretty much all the way in, but again, that shoulder and this growth on the side of his forearm does kind of get in the way a little bit. The fists don't really move. You can kind of pop them out if you want, but that's for the transformation. And then also the issue that I really have with these shoulder wheels is the fact that if you want to get the arm out, that's as far out as it's going to go. Like, even rotating this doesn't help, just because the shoulder cannot go past that point. Like, that's all you're getting. That really stinks. I don't know. I don't know what they could have done with this. Maybe put this on a more expressive like ball joint at the end rather than just this. But then if it was on a ball joint, it wouldn't be able to roll. But then it's all knobbly, so it doesn't really roll anyway. I don't know. But it's a little bit of a disappointment. The rest of it's good, though. Like, you get the waist rotation that goes all the way around. You've got kick forward more than 90, kick back to about 90, kick out this way, kick out to past 90. And actually, if we get the shoulder wheels out of the way, it can go way past 90. You get thigh rotation. You've got extremely deep knee bend, which is for the transformation, but like that is really good knee. And then for the feet, they can go down a bit, and they get a tiny bit of ankle tilt, which is something. I'm not complaining. It's, it would be nice if there was a little bit more ankle tilt, but with how boxy his legs are, I don't think it's really all that. I think it's understandable. I will say, while his articulation is a bit limited, he still looks pretty cool. And even though he's a little bit skinny, he looks pretty darn imposing as a Megatron. And now if we look at a few other figures here, we've got Warrior class Megatronus, and he is taller than that. Like, he's maybe small for a deluxe, a Voyager priced deluxe, when this was released anyway. But, he's not short. He's skinny, but not short. Also, this figure, excellent, continues to be an all-timer, just saying. And then, just because we've got, let me bring this back and up a little bit here, we've got him with the Studio Series Leader Class Megatron, who is, of course, much bigger, but also much thicker and kind of too thick in a few places if you want to get really specific with the G1 styles, which I don't. This is also great. Maybe eventually I'll make a video on him. I don't know. I kind of don't want to at this point because I feel like everyone's talked about him, and I just don't want to deal with people complaining that he should have been a gun. I've been sick of that nonsense since before I started getting back into collecting Transformers. And, as promised, here he is with Prime, and he is a little bit taller than Prime. And Prime is also a little skinny, so I feel like proportionally this all works out, and this is a great figure, and maybe eventually I'll do a video on him too, I don't know. But yeah, these guys, very cool. I think they look amazing together. I am down for this. And it's like a general thing. Here he is with Quake. And Quake is a tall deluxe. So Quake is a bit taller than Megatron, but only a bit. But then Quake is also a very thick boy, so he is much denser than Megatron as well. And I continue to say, Quake, Legacy Quake, is peak. This is a really good figure. It's a really good figure. Okay, now to turn Megatron into his alt mode, going to do the thing that everyone seems to hate, and just pop off the cannon. Oh no, a thing that even G1 Megatron figures do all the time, even the Masterpiece, because you can't do them, whatever. Going to rotate the waist 180 because I always forget to do that. And straighten out the feet, flip them up, and these will curl all the way back and tab into, there are these tabs here that will come together and plug into this hole on the back. And also I should do this first. I should actually plug the legs together because it's much easier to get this now newly formed tab into the butt if you peg the legs together first. So peg all that together. And now he is like that. I'm going to pop this out, fold this entire plank with the head on it, 180 degrees, and then pop it back in. Now, it has been a minute since I transformed this guy, so let's see. I'm going to fold this up. I'm going to pop the fist out, and then fold this whole thing back. The fist will now tuck inside this gray piece, and this little bit will flip out. This will come back down, and no, it will not come back down. Does this go this way, I think? And then the arms rotate 180, curl up in on themselves, and there is a kind of a groove section here that goes around these tabs here. So that will all tab in. And this tab here will kind of sit in this cavity on the arm. Then this comes down, and this tab will go into this slot up here. And that kind of locks all that together. And then this comes down and will peg into the bit on top of the back of the head plank. And again, rotate around, pop out the fist, rotate that down, rotate the little gun out, fold the fist in, and then bring this in and tab it into the back of the shoulder. Bring this in, and then bring this down and tab it over there. And we are pretty much done. Now all we have to do is take the cannon, and it just plugs into the peg up there. I guess you could probably do this maybe without taking the cannon off, but it's just easier to pop it off. And there we go. There is Megatron, Timeline's Megatron in his alt mode. And I guess I'm going to make the obvious joke, but even if it's not G1, you can't argue that this is canon. I'm in my mid-40s and a cat dad. I have to get these jokes out of my system. I'm sorry. But yeah, this is his artillery cannon mode thing, and it's, for what it is, it's fine. It's a little bit messier on the back. It's very, like, if you know what you're looking for, folded up robot, but I don't mind it. These little bits on the front seem a little bit unnecessary, a little superfluous, but it's a thing. It fills in the gaps here, I guess. I don't know. And if you wanted to, you could put like blast effects on there. I don't have any blast effects to show, unfortunately, but yeah, this is pretty neat. It does roll pretty well on a a fabric surface. The desk underneath this is a glass surface, and so this guy rolls absolutely terribly on that surface, but on this, yeah, rolls really well. It's very noisy because of all the bits on the wheels, but it's cool that he rolls that well, and these are all silver, so you probably don't want to roll him that much or keep him like this because that might eventually wear down some of the paint. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. It's a cannon, it rolls, it's it's not a tank. So there is that. This isn't a pilotable thing. This is more like something that looks like people would... if this wasn't a robot that was bent on human annihilation, someone would probably like... or several someones would roll this, or maybe even a truck would like drag it somewhere, and then they'd get it lined up and then just, you know, launch artillery or whatever. And I don't know. I think this is, for what it is, not bad. It's definitely not his strongest mode, but I do think the robot mode is cool enough to make this not bother me. And it's roughly the same size as RID Warrior class Megatronus. I mean, Megatronus is a little bit more spread out. Not quite as dense, and I think he feels a little bit lighter too, actually, but still roughly the same size. Also, again, this continues to be fantastic, and I love the transformation on this guy. He is still significantly smaller than Studio Series Megatron, because of course he is. He is bigger than a smallish deluxe, like Legacy Gears, or a version of Legacy Gears anyway. He is, well, still, like, yeah, Quake, again, is just a beefcake. But here he is with Optimus, and this is kind of interesting because this definitely, if these proportions are supposed to be, you know, to scale, which they're probably not, then that would imply that Megatron is a very big cannon, so maybe it's more that he gets pulled into position by a train, I don't know, or an entire convoy of trucks, but yeah, here's how these two look together, and I always forget how weird and clever this Optimus transformation is. But that is going to do it for Timeline's Megatron, and this is, as I said, a pretty cool figure. I mean, he's got his limitations in the shoulders, which still do bug me. I don't like that, but I do think he is cool. I think he looks really cool. I wish these fists were not as difficult to get out, but he's neat. Imperfect, absolutely, but neat. And I feel like that applies to pretty much the entire Timelines thing except Prime. And Prime, it's not that Prime is perfect. He has the problem of being too small, which really gets under a lot of people's skin. I'm not one of those people, but I get it. I get the complaint. I do not mind at all. I don't mind people having the complaint, and I don't mind the size either, so take your pick on which one I mean. But yeah, I don't know, like, this Megatron is, again, not perfect, but he's cool. I like him a lot. I think he is a neat departure for a Megatron. Like, he's still perfectly recognizable as Megatron, but at the same time does his own thing and looks pretty darn cool for what he is doing it. It's just the shoulder articulation that's really a bummer. But there are worse things to have to deal with figures, right? We deal with them all the time. Like the HasLab Omega, HasLab Omega Prime, that whole debacle. Which again, mine is still fine, because I did the modification beforehand, but yeah, I just think, in the grand scheme of things, this is pretty cool. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about Timeline's Megatron. Thank you all for watching, and I'll just see you in whatever the next video is going to be. My outro is insignificant. Inconsistent. Yeah, I'm doing real good with this, aren't I?